আহ, আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আরবান রিসার্চ অ্যান্ড ডেভেলপমেন্ট সোসাইটি অ্যান্ড সোশ্যাল থিওরি নেটওয়ার্ক আয়োজিত আজকের ওয়েবিনারে আপনাদের সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আমি ডক্টর রাসেল হুসাইন। আমাদের আজকের ওয়েবিনারের টপিক sociologist from periphery, struggle of a sociologist, lessons learned from periphery. আমাদের আজকের বক্তা, আমাদের ওয়েবিনারের যিনি তার প্রবন্ধ উপস্থাপন করবেন, তিনি আমাদের সুপরিচিত ডক্টর খুরশেদ আলম। এবং আহ, আমরা ওয়েবিনারটি শুরু করার ঠিক আগ মুহূর্তে আমরা অতি ভারাক্রান্ত এবং শোকাহত, আম, যেখানে পুরো জাতি আজ শোকে মুহ্যমান। এবং আমাদের আজকের ওসমান হাদি, যিনি ইনকিলাব মঞ্চের প্রতিষ্ঠাতা ছিলেন এবং একজন তরুণ প্রাণ নিবেদিত সম্মুখ সারির অগ্রসর যোদ্ধা, তার আত্মার প্রশান্তির উদ্দেশ্যে আমরা অনুষ্ঠানের শুরুতে 1 মিনিট নীরবতা পালন করছি এবং পরবর্তীতে আমরা নীরবতা শেষে আমরা আহ, পুনরায় ওয়েবিনারটি চালু করতে যাচ্ছি। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে 1 মিনিট নীরবতা পালন করার জন্য। আমরা ওসমান হাদির রুহে আত্মার মাগফিরাত কামনা করছি। আম, আমাদের একটু আগে যেটা বলছিলাম, আমি ডক্টর রাসেল হোসাইন, ইস্ট ওয়েস্ট ইউনিভার্সিটি সমাজবিজ্ঞান বিভাগের অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট প্রফেসর, এবং আজকে মডারেটর হিসেবে দায়িত্ব পালন করছি। এবং আমাদের আজকের ওয়েবিনারের বক্তা ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ খুরশেদ আলম। আম, এবং ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ খুরশেদ আলম is a lead social scientist of South Asia, and he is currently serving as a chairman of the Bangladesh Institute of Social Research Trust, and he has been served at home and abroad for the last 36 years with different national and international agencies, including World Bank, Asian Development, JICA, and many other renowned organizations. He also have very good profile about regarding working as a national expert for the Bangladesh government in different ministries, and working for the different projects. And Dr. Khurshid Alam has attempted to develop several theories and concepts in the field of economic development, political system, sociology, and criminology, with particular reference from Bangladesh society. And he, throughout his career, he accomplished many research works and has 34 scientific peer-reviewed articles, 5 book chapters, 9 books as publication to his credit, and and along with all these things, he is serving as a philanthropist for the different national and international platforms. And he's also serving as an editor and co-editor of different national and international scientific research journals. So I'm inviting Dr. Khurshid Alam to start his presentation on the topic sociologist from periphery, the struggle of a sociologist, and lessons learned from periphery. Dr. Mohammad Khurshid Alam, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. There is a problem with connection. Let me fix it again. So I think, uh, okay, 1 minute, I have to go back again. 1 minute. It was disconnected.
Disconnected means
ওকে,
Okay, it is coming. Yeah.
ওকে।
Don't know what happened. Zoom.
স্যার, আপনাকে আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি এবং দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
আপনাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছি আপনাকে।
ও, দেখতে পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ,
জি
দেখতে
স্যার,
পাচ্ছি, শুনতে পাচ্ছি। জি,
আচ্ছা, শুনতে পারলে তাহলে
আপনি শুরু করতে পারেন স্যার।
আপনি শুরু করতে
আচ্ছা,
পারেন।
আমি তাহলে এটা দিয়ে শুরু করি। ওই যে
হ্যাঁ, শুরু করেন আপনি।
থ্যাংক ইউ, হ্যাঁ, থ্যাংক ইউ, থ্যাংক ইউ, মোস্ট ওয়েলকাম। ওকে, নাও 1 minute. Okay, thank you for giving me floor and giving me an opportunity to give a presentation on a sociology from periphery. I'm really thankful to Professor Sadat and others for giving me this opportunity. Yeah, it is on the struggle of a sociologist and lesson learned from periphery. That was the topic. So the main, let me begin with my little background on my sociology learning here in Bangladesh. Education from University of Dhaka was no way enough to become a sociologist. From Dhaka University, we receive elementary knowledge about sociology. Our teachers often used to impress us rather than educate us. None of our teachers except Professor Nazmul Konim inspired us to become sociologists. Perhaps it continues till today, if I am not wrong. But now a few may be trying to do something important from their own in the field of sociology from Dhaka University. Then I had to go outside the country to acquire more knowledge about sociology. There I found my knowledge about basic sociology was quite backdated, incomplete. Particularly, I don't know what is sociology all about and how to do sociology. I had to spend a lot of time understanding what sociology is all about. For about 6 months in the year 1982, my professor was quite generous to guide me rather than misguiding me and never discouraged me to learn all these basic things. Rather, he insisted me on to learn all basic things properly. Here I was emphasizing on misguiding because sometimes we found that even the professors sometimes instead of guiding, they misguide also students for doing many other things. He guided me to read good, relevant writings of renowned sociologists. Sometimes he mentioned the secret of writing of other prominent sociologists, but it was not so easy to acquire that one. And that is very interesting thing that sometimes he explained to me that what is the secret used by the renowned sociologist, what is his technique of writing, which is not really very easy to understand for a fresher sociology student. So that he explained to me many times and really that impressed. Sometimes I was not really, very keen to read somebody's writing, which I found really difficult to understand. But when he explained to me, I found that is very interesting. Actually, his writing is different, his style is different. So he inspired me to follow all those things. So I read some basic books on sociology to understand what all about it. I read Alan Inkel's book, What is Sociology, when I was a student of sociology at Dhaka University, but I could not make out much about sociology from that book. So I wanted to, because that was written, in a different pattern, so which is not very easy for any student of Bangladesh to really make out of the use of that one. I wanted to know really what is sociology in the truest sense of the term. I read some important relevant works repeatedly, sometimes even 8 to 10 times. giving emphasis on each word said by the author and the necessity of using such words. For example, I read at least 8 to 10 times to understand the art of writing of a few reputed sociologists. So I was in a big confusion. This is a very important struggle that we had, particularly myself had. I was in a big confusion about the relation between sociology and Marxism, like the relation between sociology and anthropology, and sociology in a developing society or global south, and sociology in the advanced society. Sociology in the post-colonial society and sociology in Europe or North America, sociology of peasant society and sociology of an industrial society, and ideology and intellectuals in the post-colonial society. Relation between theory development and empiricism, and relation between global and local sociology, or building local and global sociological theory. Recognition of local sociology versus global sociology, or qualitative sociology versus quantitative sociology. Sociology should be activist or not? It's a very big question. Nowadays, we also face that same question here. Response of sociologists to social crisis, relations between applied sociology and academic sociology, or relation between academic sociology and NGO sociology, or market sociology. Here, sometimes people refer it as a buzzword sociology. A new term I see sometimes. Language to be used and writing style to be followed for sociology in the post-colonial society. So this very critical issue that we had. Then I tried to acquire the secret of writing of sociological literature to some extent, as because what they have written I could understand. But when I tried to write like them, it was not taking the same shape. I asked my professor as how he articulates so nicely. He mentioned it will take some time for you, but I don't know how much time it will take for me was a question to me. After coming back to Bangladesh, I found that there is no scope of employment in the country, as there was an embargo imposed by HMSR to all the government departments, including universities, where having so many vacant posts. I was given an offer there in India where I could become scientist in Indian Agriculture Research Institute, which, as you know, that many of you know, that I did my PhD on agrarian social structure of Bangladesh. So that was the course that they offered from the Agriculture Research Institute. Was an equivalent to reader, associate professor in India, just after completing my PhD thesis, and one fellowship for Indian Institute of Social Research, USA. I declined both. Professor Sundarajan of Pune University became very annoyed when I declined both. He commented, "What is there in Bangladesh?" But I decided to come back and work in my country. Indeed, after coming back to Bangladesh, I found myself nowhere. I had to get a job immediately as I do not have any other option. As per Professor Angular Sen's suggestion, I went to BIDS to Dr. Atur Rahman, who was doing some projects there. He was at that time very young. He was senior to me to 3 years. So he suggested me, but I never met him earlier. I met him and got financially lucrative offer. After doing the first assignment with SIDA, with him, where I proposed a new institution called Bittohin Samobai Samiti at Upazila level, which has been implemented in all upazilas of Bangladesh. Here I'd like to mention that I found that in the Kumilla cooperative system, there was, the collective group of rich and poor. So there I suggested that it should have a separate, central cooperative association at the Upazila level, both for male, poor and female poor separately. So the government has accepted it. And then, that I was excited as I have done a new thing, and my proposal was accepted by the government for implementation. And I felt it was possible due to reading sociology. Actually, that the difficulty or hierarchical relation, particularly inequality and economic inequality, was very prominent. And then I felt that it should be separated so that the poor people can operate separately with their resources, and rich will have nothing to interfere there. So the government has accepted it, and I was really excited. In my first job, and the first proposal was accepted by the government. After that, after 1 year of that one, it was implemented in all upazilas, and now they have the separate, office building for this group. In most of the upazilas, they have that office building now. I have seen in few upazilas there. After that, I was forced to work for projects one after another. I could not concentrate in making any sociology because I was just, in a routine form, I was doing that, project work. In fact, by doing it, I lost intellectual connection or failed to establish any connection with sociology. But I never left my dream for having or building my sociology. Indeed, my dream was to contribute to the field of sociology and thus to become a sociologist, for which power, position, or money never attracted me. Never forgotten to searching it. At that time, I was like a fish out of water. Some of the people were suggesting me to write papers from projects reports. I found those were not really suitable for making articles, as those data were collected following prefix requirements of funding agencies or development partners' objectives. Moreover, there are some legal barriers to publish those data also. I was facing a conflict between my work and my ambition. I did not get any person with whom I can talk about my problem or to get guidance to do research works. A sense of jealousy was noticed also. I did not get any scope to learn more about sociology here again. In the meantime, I was getting a very attractive salary and luxurious vehicle, but I was not finding particularly so no scope to do any research work. Some of our teachers were giving their CVs to me to give them some consultancy work here and there. But no one was discussing with me about the research work or the work that we can do together. Until today, there is no active sociological association in Bangladesh which can push for ensuring contribution to sociology in the country. My initial feeling was that there was no much use of knowing about all this development. There was no uh, My initial feeling was that there was no much use of knowledge, knowing about all these development projects. I had a negative, initially was no, I was a feeling that it is not much useful. Initially, I had an alienation with these projects, but gradually I started going into detail of all these issues as I noticed that these projects cover those things which normal sociology books do not cover. So I found that there is a new dimension of all these, particularly in relation to society, social structure, social function, and social relations, also the economic aspects and non-economic aspects both. I found that all these need to be learned for understanding different dimensions of our society, which most sociologists do not cover. And I was also trying to make use of all these data initially for different models, concepts, and subsequently theory building. So later on, I could understand that from this data and from the experience, I can really develop some models, or initially actually develop some models. And I found that yes, it can be worked out from my experiment. So I did a lot of experiment, and from there I could develop some models and also concept, and subsequently theory building also I could do some. Meanwhile, I also tried to write in Bangla. I found that it is also much difficult like English. I spent almost 1 year to learn writing Bangla properly. We write normally like layman, not like a sociologist. I was getting very good response from the readers, particularly from the young sociology students and teachers, and at the same time from other departments in addition to generalists. Here actually, first time I realized that instead of waiting for I should do some work. So that was the way I was trying to use my time. When I was requesting some teachers to include a course on sociology of or for Bangladesh, it was not included in the syllabus. A few teachers told me enough materials were not there to teach sociology of Bangladesh or sociology for Bangladesh. Although in India they teach about each of their leading sociologists for 3 to 4 days in the classroom, which is a great recognition by the fellow sociologists of the country. Initially, I was looking for working with any research organization, but there was no scope for getting any. Government has no clear research fund provision for sociologists of the country. Whatever fund is available, it almost goes to economists. They get the project and they get the fund also. Very interesting that at that time we noticed in the field of research in Bangladesh, economists are like Brahmin or elites, and the sociologists are like scheduled caste or subaltern. I think we can write a paper where sociologists are also subalterns. I was thinking of this one. Yeah. Access to knowledge like getting important books, journals were almost impossible and even most of the journals were not available. No standard system is followed for collecting books or journals in the university's libraries. As a result, it was very difficult to know about global knowledge. I suffered from the shortcomings from 1986 to 2012, what might be termed here as lost decades from my life. But the situation was not simple, simply so frustrating as I was trying to do my work following what could be described here as my best possible way of making use of my time. Actually, I had in my mind that whatever is the situation, I must try to use my time. That was my actually in the back of my mind. So I must not wait and getting all the facilities. Meanwhile, I wrote 5 books in Bangla, edited one journal for sociology from BSR, and written some original articles published in local journals, and developed some models without being able to publish those in the international journals. From 12, the scope of publishing in international journals became easier without much trouble. Publication in international journals are a big challenge. Those who stay outside the country, they get better chances, but better chance in terms of they have more access to the references, and as well as they can share more with other intellectuals, leading intellectuals. So but that advantage is not here, at least for discussion. Political unrest and confrontational politics are a big challenges to me, as those preoccupied my mind for a long time. Initial stages, I was really like other young generation nowadays. What we see, that I had the same type of things when I see frequent political unrest and confrontational politics. It also caused a lost decade for me. Only after 2000 I learned that I could make use of political events by generalizing those for political theory or concept development rather than suffering from those adversities. So I was thinking of getting an alternative there, how really all this political development can be generalized for our purpose, particularly for political sociology purpose. I was all the time working for the projects to know more about the society, but to convert those into articles or books require more dedicated time. In fact, in most of the cases, those data are not enough to turn those into articles or quality books. Later on, I have learned that from those data also I could do some original works by collecting little more data or merely making some generation using facial data. Uh, Colonial mentality of most sociology professionals and researchers was a big problem in Bangladesh. Among the socialists of India, there is less colonial mentality, while among the Pakistan and Sri Lankan sociologists, perhaps it was also less. Cult worship or the concept of this King Badanti Samaj Vigyani, that what I hear or I from some people, cult worship or a concept of King Badanti Samaj Vigyani was a common problem here in Bangladesh. It applies to some local or global sociologists. No school of thought has been developed, rather some factional group leaders have been developed through client-patron relationship. Elite socialists or so-called Kiংবদন্তি সমাজবিজ্ঞানী always get more focus in discussion in our universities and research organizations, while local sociologists hardly get recognition, rather mostly get suppressed. According to Said Farid Alatas, just recently he was here in Dhaka and I had opportunity of meeting him, and also he cited my work in his lecture, this keynote speech. Local sociologists, he mentioned, local sociologists are suppressed, ignored, or even not recognized. Hmm. This is he was emphasizing in his lecture. Suppressed, Socialists are suppressed, ignored, or even not recognized. That what I was using this word. Unsung sociologists are more than the sung. What is another tragedy of Bangladesh sociology or other countries of South Asia, Africa, Latin America? What I noticed. Yeah, I got the references from other countries also, like even not only South Asia, but also Africa. And Africa, I have found many famous sociologists are there who are not frequently referred, cited, or even included in the syllabus. They also ignore that one. They frequently go for, this northern sociology rather than their own. So Western researcher is not supposed to do work for us, but we primarily follow them and expect them to do research work for us. Reality shows that we need to do our research work to analyze our social problems and to make our own contribution. Too sarcastic, just it is you can ignore it. Just I just referring. Two sarcastic remarks are there where one of my high school teachers used that the very learned person but doing nothing. So he mentioned it as a sonar kumra, which has high value but do not have any seed to multiply. He was referring in our class about one person. He was a very learned person, but he was doing nothing. So he mentioned like this is called Sunar Kumra, means it has a very high value, but it does not have any seed to multiply. So another of my teacher, I am not just going to mention his name. He was mentioning to other that we have become a Zabor Kata Samaj Bigyani, not really doing anything new, just repeatedly mentioning the same thing. Uh, Also, some people say I don't do NGO sociology or market sociology. That is Bazaita, they call it Bazaita sociology, where the roots of professional sociology lies here in Bangladesh. I found it the other way around, where contribution to sociology is very much possible if one uses it properly. Here we have not learned even from the global north. What was the reason for having, is a big question, what was the reason for having this kind of behavior by different agency people is yet to be answered. I think that is, it's a question I raised, and here we need to really do some work why we have this kind of condition and the situation that prevailing in case of sociologists in Bangladesh. Summary of the lesson learned. Here I can mention that I was always feeling short of a senior mentor with whom I can share my ideas and my research challenges. I was feeling like a fish out of water for many years, but I never left the country. Education from the University of Dhaka was no way enough to become a sociologist. From Dhaka University, we receive elementary knowledge about sociology. Our teachers often used to impress us rather than educate us. None of our teachers, except Professor Nazmul Karim, inspired us to become sociologists. Perhaps it continues till today, if I am not wrong. But now a few may be trying to do something important from their own in the field of sociology from Dhaka University. Then I had to go outside the country to acquire, I have just mentioned it, few minutes that I had to spend a lot of time understanding sociology in all about for about 6 months. That also I mentioned earlier, and just mentioning it. Sometimes my professor has mentioned the secret of writing that I still remember, and how to check words and sentences and also the structure of writing. So he was always trying to draw my attention when I was writing the things. And once when I was doing PhD and writing the draft, he was commenting on my draft. He was saying that, oh, here you are just making telegraphic communication to the reader. So I learned that new word he was using, that telegraphic communication to the readers. So that he was saying that no, here you have to elaborate the sentence little more so that reader can understand. So this is how he was critically reviewing my writing, and also he taught me a lot on all these issues, particularly writing on different issues, and also he emphasized on very thoroughly on what is sociology and what is not sociology. He was always emphasizing that in your writing it must be sociology, not writing anything else. So that was his focus, and also I tried to really adhere to that one till today. I try my level best, and also I improved a lot over the decades on writing on that one. I wanted to know really what is sociology in the truest sense of the term. So I just read some relevant works as I mentioned earlier, and about the different aspects as I mentioned earlier. Also, the big confusion was there between sociology and Marxism. I also see nowadays. Still, I see many people have these kind of things. They don't really check it very thoroughly. What is the relation between sociology and Marxism? Like the relation between sociology and anthropology is very important. What kind of relation is there? What is the difference between sociology and anthropology? It's also not often very clear, so that has to be made clear. Sociology in a developing society or global south, and sociology in the advanced society or global north. What kind of sociological difference may be there in particularly analyzing one's own society? Sociology in the post-colonial society and sociology in the global north. Sociology of Asian society that I mentioned, relation between theory development and empiricism. That is another very important thing, that whether we are doing some empiricism or empirical works only and without having any relation with the theoretical implication of that one, or sometimes we just take copy of it, or we take from others writing to place it in our empirical works only. And relation between global and local sociology, or building local and global sociological theory. Recognition of local sociology versus global sociology. That is another, and quantitative sociology versus qualitative sociology. So these are the things that we need to understand very clearly. Sociology should be activist or not. It is a very strong issue that we see their debates on it also. Response of sociologists to social crisis, whether we should respond it or not. Relation between applied sociology and academic sociology, or relation between academic sociology and NGO sociology or market sociology. Language to be used and writing style to be followed for sociology in the post-colonial society. For me, it took too long to make use of disadvantages as advantage. That was I learned later on. It took almost more than one decade when I learned that what is disadvantage, I can take also advantage of that one. But it took long time for me to learn it. Actually, we lost it. I think what our new generation can really take advantage of from the disadvantages. What was nurtured in man in mind, but took a long time to materialize it. So that took really long time for me to learn from these, to take the advantage of disadvantages. Bangladesh sociology is still suffering. For example, just I can give you one example for the young generation. We always see that we do not have any facilities here, or this or that we do not have. I also see that there are advantages of it. One advantage that is that whatever work you do here in Bangladesh, you are the pioneer. Most of this field of sociology, there is hardly any work. So if you work, for example sports, we just did one work on sports, and later on I think from just one has done it. So in the sports sociology of sports, there is no work from Bangladesh. So now if you do like this one, that there are fields where not a single one has done any work, so you can become a pioneer of that one. And this is the advantage. And secondly, also, if we critically examine, we can develop some new field of sociology here in Bangladesh, based on that one, based on our condition. So it is always not the bad thing. We always think that this is the bad place where you cannot do good job. But I found that it is not always true. Actually, the bad place also some advantages. So you can do, considering the Bangladesh situation, you can take the advantage of this one. So that is one of the things, and whatever you write, most of the cases you are becoming pioneer, because that particular sex field or subfield has not been addressed earlier. When sometimes field may be addressed, but subfield has not been addressed by anyone. So I think then using that one, you can take the advantage of disadvantages. That's what I learned, but it took very long time for me to learn and to make use of it. So the Bangladesh sociology is still suffering from the vicious circle of knowledge poverty, which in turn causes underperformance or slow growth of discipline. Here I would like to mention that we have a very bad system in teaching in the university, because why the BCS cycle of knowledge poverty I mentioned, that the one person who is one student who passed just after completed his masters only 2 3 months back or 4 months back, and he is becoming immediately teacher of the department, and he is given the some subject like the introduction to sociology or research methodology or this kind of things. He has been some topics have been assigned or course has been assigned, particularly I must say that to him. So this is a half learning from his half learning or inadequate learning, or from this improper learning. I am using three words. Half learning is inadequate learning or improper learning. He, based on that one also, he is delivering his knowledge or trying to transfer his knowledge to the students. So that the wrong information what they are getting, particularly the students are getting, that they maintain throughout his life. So, and the BCS circle I'm talking is like this, that this same system is continuing for decades together. When I went to teach one course, and I found that the young teachers, they are giving a lot of wrong information to the students. So that process is still going on, and that's why I mention it here, that BCS cycle of knowledge poverty, particularly in case of sociology, it is there, and it is comparatively a difficult subject, sociology, where one has to understand sociology properly, and then only he can teach them properly. So, but in case of economics, it is little easier, because there is more precise theories and concept that they can understand and they can deliver to the students. But in case of sociology, it is really difficult to understand it properly and then to communicate it to the students, which in turn causes underperformance or slow growth of discipline. And another thing is that when the very young, fresher, I should say, fresher is taking classes or courses, then they cannot really motivate the students to give full effort to learn sociology. That is another big issue I found. Enough attempt is not there to make it virtuous cycle. Now, the vicious cycle is going on for last say 5 or 6 decades, but there is no attempt to make it a virtuous cycle. That is okay. We'll make we'll recruit the best people, qualified people, and then we'll allow them to take classes. That's why nowadays there is a discussion that the teachers must have PhD and have a very thorough knowledge about the subject, and then only he or she should be allowed to teach. In that case, we can take some people as like teaching assistant, not like the full-time teacher. Most of our sociology teaching staff are less proficient in theory, concept, or even method used to understand the society. And again, that what they learn from the Western books, they cannot really apply it here in context of Bangladesh, because they cannot give a contextual analysis of Bangladesh. So that becomes very difficult. Even when we are a student, we also face the same thing. That is, yes, I understood his theory, but how to really apply it in case of Bangladesh was a big challenge. They mainly adhere to elite sociologists or Kiংবদন্তি সমাজবিজ্ঞানী of the global north, or remain Eurocentric rather than paying attention to sociology from the global south. In some cases, also mention the concept of elite sociologist in Bengali, what is called Kiংবদন্তি সমাজবিজ্ঞানী, rather than recognizing their own sociologists, suppressing their own scholars, or ignoring their own sociologists. Local sources also treat their own eminent sociologists as subaltern sociologists. It is what we found that in their attitude, I should say, not it is really been described. But I mention it as a subaltern sociologist, and generally do not prefer to mention their names to their counterparts. Sorry, I'm just using all this word, but I think we can think over all these issues. The subaltern sociologist particularly generally do not prefer to mention their name to their counterpart, Europeans or North American sociologists. In regard to knowledge poverty in the field of sociology, we see in Bangladesh there is absolute knowledge poverty, while in India or some other extent in Pakistan there is relative knowledge poverty. I think there is two difference, because I had opportunity of checking the Pakistani sociology also, and India as well as Sri Lanka. Taking into consideration of crisis in Bangladesh sociology, a theory of rational indifference has been developed in the context of South Asia, covering a wider spectrum. I made an attempt to resolve a crisis of sociology's dilemma, pursue local or global sociology. It has been published from Routledge in its edited book, published from India, that is actually London, and from also Indian branch. I have developed a counter approach to theory development that has been proposed against the approach of Professor T.K. Oman, former president of ISI. He proposed to develop the civilization-based sociological theory, but I have proposed that no, it is a local, regional, global theory. Maybe there are three types of theory can be developed based on the field level data and experience. So it is a counter proposal to Professor T. Woman's proposition about the civilization-based sociological theory, and he has seen that one also. Due to constant persuasion, SSRC has taken Social Science Research Council has taken some initiative to allocate little more fund for social research. I have repeatedly insisted them to increase more fund. Till today, this year also, the last year also, they just spent 2 crore plus, little more than 2 crore. So once I argued with the Secretary of the Ministry of Planning that we have 18 crore people, but you are allocating fund 2 crore for social research, social science research. So you can imagine that what is the budget for each person, and it means either there is no problem in the country or there is no skilled people to do the research work here. So I think none is correct. We have lot of research trained person here as a researcher, and we also have lot of social programs. I think more than many other countries of the world. But since there is no council, it is rather by the deputy secretary, which is not serving the research purpose of the country. There is no research council. It is called Social Science Research Council, but in fact there is no council. For example, in any other country, you will find Social Science Research Council is led by a council, and the renowned social scientists are the leading that council. But here, only deputy secretary, one deputy secretary is doing this job, and he has no idea about the research. He is not a researcher. He has no research background, but he is just officially he is performing this duty, and with the help of two three this research officer. So it's very unfortunate that a country of 18 crore people is running, they're running social research, particularly social science research, with the help of one deputy secretary and two, three research officers. So this is, you can imagine how much importance we are attaching to that. Until today, we have not made any attempt to develop that is, government has not yet developed any social science research council. So no representation from the social scientists is there to make it a council. So on the other hand, there is a strong demand from the social scientists of the country to develop it as a research council. Lost decade are there which don't look like a total loss. In my case, few theories, concepts, and models could be developed despite having almost no financial support. There is no group formed dedicated to develop the sociology for Bangladesh, and no active association of Bangladeshi sociologists are there. And the last, you can ignore this one. I just mentioned for me because so many offers I found outside the country from the World Bank, ADB, and others. The donor agencies or the development partners. My total financial loss was about 9 crore for working here in Bangladesh. I do not consider it as a loss, rather a gain, despite a huge pecuniary loss. So some photographs are of the works of the last week. Last week I was there. First I went to Bhola, to Chorfashan, and to the island area. I worked there with the male and female, poor people, those who are climate vulnerable. So the government, the UNDP has taken up one project for giving support to the climate vulnerables, and there I am now doing a mission with that UNDP, and there I talk to the people. To the left side is of course from this Rangpur, Gongasara. There I was talking with the farmers, that is village farmers. They are also the poor farmers, those who have been trained on different technology, that is production technology like crop production. So I was discussing with them in FGD, And the right side is the I'm discussing with the embankment problem with the BWDB officials in their office. So these are the two pictures that I have added. What I did in the last week, that is up to last. Actually, the it was Thursday's picture. Yeah, this one the Thursday's picture. So this is how I still work in the field, and I go to the field. I work with the very common people doing FZD or KI, sometimes doing KI as well. Also going to the government offices also to discuss about the problems and prospects or the opportunities. And here people they love to talk a lot on problems, but they really come up with we do not come up with the solutions of the problems. So I was just uh, discussing with the government official also about how to really find out the solution of the problem. So thank you all for listening to me and patiently. You may not like some of the points, but still I welcome your feedback and questions, suggestions, remarks, whatever you feel. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. For Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, sure. I'm just
Okay.
hearing.
Okay.
I think we
So
can go
thank
for now. Mhm.
Yeah. So thank you so much, sir, for talking on such an important topic and which has been on a serious note, has been missing in the discussion of academia.
Yeah.
What are the crises and what are the solutions we are looking for, and what should be done and what should not be done in terms
Mhm.
of developing sociological mindset in the context of Bangladesh society, most important in the context of Southeast Asian society. You have
Yeah.
raised several serious concerns regarding who
Mhm.
should be the student of sociology and how student of sociology should be taught, and who should be the teacher of sociology, and whether the teacher of the teacher who are teaching sociology, whether they have that kinds of mindset to develop a sociological understanding and teaching sociology
Mhm.
by making it much more lucrative, by making it much more understandable,
Yeah.
and making it regional rather than colonialized mindset.
Mhm.
And you also raised several serious concerns concerning the recruitment of teachers who should be recruited as the teachers,
Right. Yeah.
and I found one thing most important about writing sociology and the
Mhm.
structure of sociology. So you mentioned whatever we should write from a sociological point of view,
Mhm.
and you also bring out about subaltern sociology, which I
Yeah.
found most interesting. And then you like the vicious cycle of poverty. You talked about the
Yeah.
vicious cycle of sociological practices has been developed in the context of Bangladesh society,
Knowledge
and
poverty,
and
actually. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and South in the context of South Asian society, how far we actually have gone.
Yeah.
And you also on the final point, you talked about the functions of Social Science Research Council,
Right.
whether
Mhm.
Bangladesh as a independent country, whether we are successful or we are failed nation to
Mhm.
develop, to
Right.
research and to talk about 18 crores people from sociological ground point or social science ground point. So these are serious concern and several research questions that actually make someone to come out from the periphery to be a sociologist, to develop a mindset of sociology, and to explore the society from from the point of sociological imaginations point of
Right.
view. So now, thank you so much for talking all this serious concern. Now I'm opening the floor for the audiences for raising questions and concerns and to do participate in the discussions. Thank you. If any one of you have any questions, please you can raise your question.
Question, comments, or suggestion, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, anything.
Not only question, they may have some suggestion, observation, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, anything. Open discussion
Yeah,
floor.
sure.
Assalamualaikum, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Understand?
Sir, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, sir, it was a pleasure to hear from you and also an honor. Actually, it was very eye-opening discussion, and especially I want to praise you for the note that you have given on the mentors, on the challenges that we face during you
Yeah.
actually faced during your young era, and we are also kind of facing this problem as a young sociologist, that we often don't get the senior mentors that we can actually exchange ideas or talk through our problems and then get through thorough guidance and then work and collaborate in a meaningful way, in a significant way. And you also
Right.
talked about the jealous situation on Bangladesh context, and it's all very real experience, based on real experience and the realities, harsh realities that nobody wants to or dares to talk about, but you have done it. And I admit it, and I agree with your all the points that you have elaborated and discussed, and it was actually very eye-opening and also very thrilling to know that actually nobody, everybody on this stage in Bangladesh, we are facing similar kind of problems and challenges that needed to be pointed out in a poignant way that you have done, sir. So thanks
Thank
to
you.
you, and it was actually very helpful to listen to you.
Thank you.
Your
Thank you. Okay. I think what is the change is that during our time there was no material and there was no mentor. But now you have plenty of materials, but you still you do not have good mentors here. So
Yes,
that I
sir.
can see. So the one part of the problem is to some extent solved. That is the material problem. During our time, we are not getting books, we are not getting journals, even the common books which is referred in the class were not available. Or only there, sometimes it was only one copy in the library, and it was issued to some professor, and he has not returned it for 6 months, 8 months. So we just trying to get it in the library, and we could not get. Not a single student could get the book. So that
Yes,
was
sir.
the
And
situation.
you even mentioned about the challenge of publishing
Yeah,
in
exactly.
international journal. And
Exactly.
yes, I find it quite difficult to publish in international journals where local researchers are given less priority other than the international
No,
ones, those who are
the issue,
residing or
the,
being abroad.
the issue was of preference. Whatever good quality paper you write, unless you give a very, enough references in the article, Western world is not going to publish it. So it is their common standard. So we could not actually meet that one at that time, particularly, just early 80s or mid 80s. Yeah, so
Yes,
that
sir.
was the situation. Okay, yeah. Anybody else who has any comments or
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam? Yeah. Anyone else?
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Oh. Anyway, I
Raj.
can start.
Yeah.
I can
Sure,
start.
Please.
sure. Shadat Sahib, yes.
Yes. Definitely is very exciting presentation in terms of addressing number of issues, particularly uh, the new researchers are facing problems to produce sociological knowledge, and there are some institutional problems there to conduct sociological research there, right? And particularly, definitely, it's very difficult to produce sociological knowledge from not only Bangladesh, any peripheral countries, many challenges there. Particularly,
Mhm.
you have mentioned the probably nowadays due to internal things, materials is not the problem. Problem is good mentor. I do agree.
Exactly, exactly.
The main problem because we can find very few teachers we can put give students time to produce sociological knowledge. So because even many teachers who don't have adequate training in this field. Probably we have a number of PhDs from Western countries, but the problem is many researchers after finishing their PhD, they lost their track, uh, you know, for different reasons. We understand, it's very difficult to continue. Even many researchers, they do not publish their PhD thesis, and after PhD thesis, they think that is the end of everything. They're not doing any research. That's why they cannot give the new um, thinking, new ideas to the students. And definitely it's very difficult to find good mentors there. That is the main problem. You face in maybe 60s, 70s, 80s, it's still the same problem in the university, I think. Yeah, you have
Mhm.
the right problem. Another thing is very difficult to produce theoretical knowledge from Global South. You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
Really, because uh, why people are doing research and theories? That's the question. Because some NGOs, you can get some funding from development organizations, but they're not interested in theories. Therefore,
Right.
you will find very few people probably from their own interest, they're doing some theoretical research, right? And it's
Right.
hard to do theoretical research by their own interest because it needs huge effort, huge dedication, but needs funding. In the Western universities, definitely you will find funding for theoretical research. Definitely. Probably it's also competitive, but still you can manage funding from here for your interest. But it's very hard to get funding for theoretical research in developing country. That's the one thing. Another thing is, after 1990s, we'll understand, better than me because you work in development sectors. Number of opportunities has been created in development field. And obviously, it's easier to get consulting other things from the NGOs, right? And at the same time, university professors are not getting adequate salary to survive. They're going to their NGOs. Still, I remember you recommend me for a project in urban development. Still, I can
Right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. What
Right.
I'm saying, but you said this is the way teachers are surviving over there.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is very hard to produce knowledge. That's one thing. But still, it is possible. Still, it's possible. But the thing is that passion is very, very important, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you'll find very few people who have passions for sociology, passions for their own research, academic research. That's another thing. And definitely, with the problems in the macro level problem, the state and the university, we understand the nexus there. Political economy, we need to understand there, right? And universities are mostly involved in public universities in particular, involved in politics as a thing. That's another problem in not only
Right.
sociology.
Right.
It's a every single discipline. There's a problem, but obviously sociology is facing problem, and sometimes we are facing problems to recruit good students for our as a teacher. That's another problem. A number of problems we are facing there, and you have already mentioned, the state level, particularly the council, social services council, they are only allocated 2 crore money. It's very minimal, nothing in one sense. It can be,
Nothing. It is
yeah,
exactly.
it can be only allocated for only single project. Am I right or wrong?
Exactly.
Right? But definitely we can work in that field. People who are working in the policy government, they can push not only for sociology as a social science. We need more
Right.
fund in this field, and definitely nowadays the social problems become very acute. In Bangladesh is a
Exactly.
transition phase. We are facing political social crisis now. We need more research in this field, and we need more funding from government. Definitely, all right. That's another thing. After all, it's very good presentation. We are very delighted to listen from you because you have excellent practical experience from the field, and uh, we are happy to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sahib. One fun just I would like to share with you. That is, sometimes it is called sociology হচ্ছে গুরুমুখী বিদ্যা। এটা
Yeah.
to some extent I found it is true actually. Sometimes it is said that you need mentor. Sociology is particularly for sociology you need mentor to really develop. So it's for which it is called Gurumukhi Vidya অনেকটা, and in some places they call it teachers are also called as guru. So that is also very important, but that part is also I just wanted to just mention there, but you have mentioned some other important point that I have taken note of it, and I will also add that one in the paper. Okay, yeah. Mr. Russell, is there anybody else?
Anyone? Okay.
Anybody else who wanted to share anything?
Anyway, in that case, you can sum up and
Yeah, so Mr. Russell, you can sum up if there is no other comments, suggestions, or remarks. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Russell Bhai, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe
I can sum up.
I can just yeah I can raise some issues or raise
Yeah,
some
please.
question and concerns regarding the presentation.
Please.
I'm really happy to listen the presentation. Especially it was not something like presentation. It was like how a sociologist from periphery have to navigate so many things
Exactly.
to build theory from the periphery. So it was really great to hear your struggle, your journey towards uh, being a sociologist from periphery. But although I don't think that, like when we are saying that a sociologist from periphery, that kind of uh, analytical lens, do you think that does it reduce, like, does it reproduce Western centric? Like does it prioritize western centric knowledge, because I think as someone from Bangladesh or the global south, we need to like question the concept periphery itself, because when we try to like build theories from the below, or build theories from the above, and when we divide society based on core and periphery, then I think it reproduces the hierarchy of uh, coloniality or colonial knowledge. So that is one of the point that I would like to address. And also I have another question, like as you were mentioning the challenges that you faced while collecting data from Bangladesh or from the periphery. Uh, do you have any other alternatives uh, where we could like create data from the below? Because as you mentioned that in your own methodology you utilize FGD and other kind of qualitative tools, but like as I'm staying in past 3 years I have been staying in US, and I have seen that here in Sociologist, like in the statistics class, one of my professors, he never went to the field, but he is producing theories using like GSS data and other data sets. So how could we develop data from the below without getting help from government agencies and other like state and non-state actors? That is one of my questions. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan, for your good points. Actually, I think first of all, this analytical lens that is reduce Western centric knowledge that from below and above and core and periphery issue. Yeah, that is always there. We actually what we found that we are using that, for example, the theories from the center. But at the same time, in most of the cases, we do not have that kind of theory produced by them which can enough to understand our problem. Like, for example, dowry. For example, violence against women. This kind of thing that is not everything is covered by them. Most of these things are not even covered. When I was checking, different issues and whether there is any theory or concept developed, most of the cases I have not found any theory or concept developed by the West because their context is totally different. But in our case, that we need to develop, many issues, particularly many theories and concepts in context of Bangladesh. Even in many cases, it does not match with India also, or even Pakistan. Society is organized differently in case of caste based in India, in case of, strongly hierarchical based in Pakistan. So at least, but it is to some extent matches with Sri Lanka. But again, Sri Lanka has the also different problem, different structure than Bangladesh. So what I feel that whatever issue you take up, for example, here in case of, for example, land utilization or land occupancy pattern, here most of the people are now marginal farmer or small farmer, and many of them are landless, in called that is operationally landless. So this is totally different than, for example, from Pakistan or India. India in the West Bengal and others, they have this kind of problem. So now when you want to build up a theory based on this one, you need to develop your own, that is from Bangladesh, whatever it is possible. It is helping marginally from the center or the core. But we generally get training from the West on all the, the core theories and knowledge. And of course, there are a lot of things, but in case of, for example, in case of crime, if you go for general big, the fundamental theories, it is applied to some extent. But if you take into account all the micro issues of the crime here in Bangladesh, then you will find a different picture, not really helping the Western theories to explain these things here in case of Bangladesh. So I found that in most of the cases, I checked it and I found that our problems are not really been enough addressed by those theories and concepts. Now the second issue is there. I think that is what I told. I think you might not have uh, got the proper uh, indication. That is actually why most of the cases I worked on development projects. So development projects, when you are making evaluation or baseline or whatever it is, they have their certain framework for that one. So they ignore many things. So you cannot get a complete set of data. That is the main problem. Not complete set of data. You get a partial set of data. For example, when you are just doing a research work in one village, just last time, just I have gone there in the last week, that I found that they have some selected people for that particular project. Those who are landless, extreme poor, and person with disability, etc., are covered. But there, those who are homeless or those who have very thatched type of house, very poor quality house, which is not at all suitable for addressing the climate change, the adverse impact. So this kind of thing that you can get some data, but that is not enough to generalize anything, or sometimes even to develop. But from that particular data, for example, if you got 200 or 300 data from this group, again you do not get all features because they have fixed some features. So when you want to analyze it for any article, you will find that some information is there, some parameters have been covered and other parameters are missing in that data collection. So that is another problem what I face. So initially I could not make use of this kind of reports for any article development, but later on I've learned that how to really make use of this kind of data also. So that is what difficulty I faced initially, but later on I could really make use of some of the things, not all, but some. And you mentioned, but your point is very much correct. Only from getting, statistical data, robust statistical data, one can develop some theories. That is possible. Most of the Americans are doing like this. Many, I should say, many of them are doing like this. They are they are doing like this, that is they can, from the huge data, statistical data, they can make some generalization and can develop some theory. That is possible, definitely possible. But here you will get very less that kind of data. For example, if you want to use the BBS data, you will find that some few parameters are covered under that data collection, but other parameters are missing. So that in that case also you cannot use it. And secondly, sometimes you will find in the BBS data that is 5 years earlier they have used one definition and after 5 years they have changed the definition. So you cannot really compare also with the first to the present one. So these kind of difficulties we have, but still it does not mean that we cannot do any work. That is totally wrong. That's what I mentioned about in the whole, this presentation, that still it is possible to do. So, but we have to be alert and very precise and also try to really make some contribution out of this one. That is my point that I want to, communicate to you all. So I think it's a thank you for your comments. These two, I have noted it already, your comments and also other comments given by others. So thank you,
Thank,
Mr. Jan.
thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Mm,
Thank you, sir, for raising all the concerns by the audiences and the
mm,
listeners. I think we can sum up here, and we
Thank
can
you.
finish with all of your permission. We can finish here. Thank you again
Thank you.
for presenting on behalf of the URDS and Social Theory Network, and I hope in the coming future, we will have much more discussions that will promote the developing sociology as it is, and which will ultimately help to boost the sociology in Bangladesh, not only in Bangladesh but also in Southeast Asian
Right,
society in
exactly.
accordance with the sociological knowledge. Thanks again, and if Shahad sir have nothing to say, we can finish here.
No, it's all right. Thank you. It's
Okay,
fine.
thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
everyone
you
for
all.
joining with us,
Thank you so much.
and thank you for listening us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks to all
Awesome.
participants also who has kindly have given their time to listen to
Yeah,
it. Yeah, thanks.
yeah, we are
See
grateful
you
to all of
next
you.
time.
Because of
Yeah.
you,
So,
it is a successful
do not
discussion.
forget to save the recordings. Otherwise,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
take some
Okay.
time to save the recordings.
Okay. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Thanks. Bye.